Every year, sharks kill about 10 people worldwide. Lions, maybe 200, but that's nothing compared to what you would have faced by the dinosaurs in the Mesozoic era. Imagine being hunted by a predator with the intelligence of a wolf, the speed of a cheetah, and teeth longer than your forearm. And that's just the Troodon, arguably the weakest entry in this video. From brain-powered killers to living tanks, these are 10 dinosaurs that would make short work of any human foolish enough to encounter them. You might think that the smallest dinosaur on our list would be the easiest to survive, but here's where your overconfidence gets you killed. See, Troodon wasn't just another predator, it was basically the velociraptor's honor student cousin. With the largest brain to body ratio of any dinosaur, this wounding tooth had problem-solving skills that would put most modern mammals and humans to shame. But intelligence wasn't its only weapon. Those massive eyes weren't just for show, they gave Troodon night vision that would make modern owls jealous. Imagine trying to hide in the dark knowing this thing could track your every move with precision that would embarrass military-grade thermal goggles. But I could just outrun it. Yeah, good luck with that. Troodon can hit speeds of up to 40 miles per hour. That's faster than a cheetah, and unlike big cats that tire quickly, this nightmare could maintain that pace for extended periods. But here's the real kicker, it hunted in packs. Remember those clever girl scenes from Jurassic Park?
Clever girl.
That's basically Troodon's whole deal, except worse. These hunters would coordinate their attacks, using their superior intelligence to herd prey into deadly ambushes. One would distract you while others flank from the sides. And those serrated teeth, they weren't designed for clean kills. They were meant to inflict bleeding wounds and track you until you collapsed from blood loss. But if you think outsmarting a dinosaur is tough, wait until you see what happens when you encounter one that's basically a walking tank with attitude issues. At least it's a herbivore. Yeah, famous last words of someone who's clearly never heard of a kentrosaurus. While our previous brain-powered killer hunted with intelligence, this walking arsenal took a more pointed approach to conflict resolution. Think of it as nature's first attempt at creating a medieval weapons store. Those impressive spikes running down its back weren't just for show. Some reached over 2 feet long. That's longer than your average sword. And this thing was covered in them. But it was peaceful, right? Tell that to the predators who found out why paleontologists nicknames its tail weapon as the Thagomizer. This 4-spiked death flail could swing with enough force to shatter bones, and unlike modern animals that might warn you before attacking, Kentrosaurus had a brain smaller than a walnut, meaning it would literally act first and never even bother asking questions. But here's where it gets worse. Despite weighing as much as a rhino, this spiky boy was surprisingly agile. Those powerful legs could pivot its armored body with shocking speed, turning that defensive armor into an offensive weapon faster than you could step away. And remember those shoulder spikes we talked about? They weren't just for intimidation. They were positioned perfectly to skewer anything that got too close. Speaking of things that hunt in groups though, let me introduce you to a predator whose name literally means savage thief. And trust me, it lives up to the hype. Remember how everyone thought velociraptors were scary until we found out they were actually the size of a turkey? Well, meet their cousin who actually lives up to the hype Jurassic Park gave Velociraptor. Atrociraptor wasn't just named the Savage Thief because it sounded cool. This thing was basically evolution's attempt at creating the perfect killing machine. Let's start with those teeth. Most raptors had normal serrated chompers, but Atrociraptor, its teeth were angled outward and forward, creating what scientists call a death trap. Once those jaws clamped down, you weren't getting away. Each bite was like getting caught in a bear trap made of steak knives. But it was small, right? Like other raptors? Well, no. At 6.6 feet long, it was actually human-sized. But here's the terrifying part. That compact frame was pure muscle, built for one thing: explosive speed. We're talking 0 to, oh god, why is it moving so fast, in seconds. And those infamous raptor claws, Atrociraptors were specifically designed for one purpose: gutting prey larger than itself. But what really makes the Atrociraptor nightmare fuel is their hunting strategy. These weren't mindless killers. They were tactical predators that hunted in coordinated packs. Think less angry dinosaur and more special forces team with scale and claws. But if you think that's bad, wait and see what happens when you take that same predatory intelligence and scale it up to something the size of a bus. If T-Rex had a younger cousin who hit the gym religiously, you'd get albertosaurus. But don't let that smaller than T-Rex thing fool you. Being more compact actually made this predator deadlier. While its famous cousin was built like a tank, Albertosaurus was more like a sports car with teeth. Scientists studying its leg bones made a terrifying discovery. This thing was built for sustained pursuit. Most large predators tire quickly, giving prey a chance to escape, but Albertosaurus, it could maintain speeds of up to 30 miles per hour for extended periods. Imagine being chased by something the size of a school bus that never gets winded. At least it had tiny arms like the T-Rex. Actually, those arms, while small, packed enough power to bench press a motorcycle. But they weren't its primary weapons anyways. Albertosaurus had a bite force that could shatter bones like toothpicks. We're talking 3,000 pounds per square inch. For comparison, that's like having your entire body crushed by 3 compact cars all at the same time. Speaking of things you shouldn't underestimate, let me show you why having a vegetarian dinosaur charge at you might actually be worse than facing a carnivorous predator. You know how hippos look kinda goofy, but are actually one of Africa's deadliest animals? Well, meet Amargasaurus, the dinosaur that took that concept and added spears. This 33-foot long herbivore might look like someone attached a fence to a long-necked dinosaur, but those spines weren't just for show. Running down its neck and back were 2 rows of spines, some reaching up to 2 feet long. Scientists used to think that these were just for display until closer examination revealed something unsettling. These spines were actually biological weapons. When threatened, Amargasaurus could use its long, flexible tail like a medieval flail, turning those spines into nature's version of a spiked whip. But still, it was just a plant eater. How deadly could it be? Yeah, and so is a Cape buffalo, and a rhino, and a hippo, but those kill thousands of people per year. Amargasaurus weighed as much as 2 elephants and could move surprisingly fast for its size. Those powerful legs weren't just for walking. They could deliver kicks powerful enough to cave in the skull of even the largest predators. But if you think that's bad, wait and see what happens when evolution decides to give a predator a Swiss Army knife for a hand. Remember how scary you thought the kitchen scene in Jurassic Park was? Well, Megaraptor looked at those raptor claws and said, "Hold my prehistoric beer." While most predatory dinosaurs had impressive claws, Megaraptor took it to a whole new level. We're talking about hand claws longer than your entire arm. But here's the truly terrifying part. This wasn't just some oversized raptor. At 26 feet long, Megaraptor was basically what you would get if you combined the size of T-Rex with the slashing weapons of a giant prehistoric Edward Scissorhands. Those massive claws weren't just for show either. They could pierce through thick hide like a hot knife through butter. But at least it was slow, right? Actually, Megaraptor's build suggests it was surprisingly agile for its giant size. Those long, powerful legs weren't just for walking. They were built for pursuit. Imagine being chased by something that could not only outrun you, but also had the reach to gut you from several feet away. Speaking of nowhere being safe, imagine all that predatory power, but covered in feathers and adapted for hunting in the snow. Think feathers make a dinosaur less scary? Well, yutyrannus is about to destroy that assumption along with your chances of survival. At 30 feet long and weighing as much as a rhino, this feathered tyrant proves that nature's most efficient killers don't always look the part. Those feathers weren't just for show. They were basically prehistoric Gore-Tex, allowing yutyrannus to hunt in conditions that would slow down other predators. While other dinosaurs were struggling in the cold, this thing was perfectly adapted for pursuing prey through snow and freezing temperatures. Imagine being tracked through a blizzard by something that makes the abominable snowman look cuddly. But surely the feathers made it less aggressive, right? It looks like a chicken. Actually, yutyrannus had one of the strongest bites of any feathered animal ever discovered. Those teeth weren't just sharp. They were specifically designed for crushing bone, and thanks to its feathered coating, it could maintain higher activity levels in cold weather than any other predator of its size in the area. But if you think a feathered tyrant is scary, wait until you meet its cousin from Asia, who took the concept of apex predator to a whole new level. Tarbosaurus was its equally terrifying cousin, who decided to rule Asia through sheer brutality. While other predators were content with being merely deadly, this alarming lizard took things to an entirely different level of nightmare fuel. Let's talk about those jaws, because Tarbosaurus had the strongest bite force of any land animal in its ecosystem. We're not just talking about crushing bones. This thing could bite through armored dinosaurs like you bite through a cookie. Scientists estimate its bite force was equivalent to having 3 cars stacked on a single point. And those teeth, they were specially serrated to act like built-in steak knives. At least it was big, so it was slow and clumsy, right? Actually, studies of its leg structure revealed something terrifying. Despite weighing up to 5 tons, Tarbosaurus was surprisingly agile. Those powerful legs could propel it to speeds that would leave Olympic sprinters in the dust, and its tail was perfectly balanced to allow for quick turns. Imagine something the size of a bus that could corner like a sports car. But here's what makes Tarbosaurus truly terrifying. It was smarter than we thought. That massive skull wasn't just for show. It housed a brain with highly developed hunting intelligence. Fossil evidence suggests it could track prey across vast distances using its enhanced sense of smell to follow victims for days until they were too exhausted to fight back. But if you think being hunted by a giant is scary, wait until you see what happens when you encounter something so massive it could crush you without even noticing you were there. Remember that scene in Jurassic Park where the T-Rex made that water ripple? Well, Patagotitan would make that T-Rex look like a house cat. We're talking about something so massive that scientists had to double check their measurements because they couldn't believe anything could get this big on land. At 70 tons, that's the weight of 12 adult elephants combined, Patagotitan was so massive that its footsteps literally reshaped the ground beneath it. One casual step from this giant would create an impact force strong enough to crush a car flat. And here's the scary part. You wouldn't even need to be directly under its foot to be in danger. Well, just stay far away from it then. Well, here's the problem. Patagotitan's neck was longer than a school bus, and its tail added another bus length behind it. That means even if you thought you were at a safe distance, one slight movement from this behemoth could send you flying like a golf ball hit by a prehistoric driver. If you think being accidentally killed by a giant herbivore is bad, wait until you meet the predator that actually hunted them. If you've been keeping track, we've met some pretty terrifying dinosaurs, but Tyrannotitan, it's what keeps other dinosaurs up at night. When paleontologists first discovered this monster, they thought they'd made a mistake because nothing should be this perfectly designed for killing. At 43 feet long and weighing more than 7 tons, Tyrannotitan wasn't just big. It was literally engineered for maximum carnage. Those 6-inch teeth weren't just for show. They were serrated on both edges like prehistoric chainsaws. And unlike the other large predators that sometimes had weak bite forces, Tyrannotitan's skull was reinforced specifically to deliver bone-crushing bites without damaging itself. But surely something that big was slow, right? Actually, Tyrannotitan's leg structure reveals something terrifying. It was built for sustained pursuit. Those massive legs weren't just for support. They were designed to chase down prey over long distances. Imagine being hunted by something that combines the persistence of a wolf with the raw power of a freight train. Here's where it gets really nightmarish though. Tyrannotitan didn't just hunt regular prey. Fossil evidence shows it actively hunted other giant dinosaurs, including early sauropods. Think about that. This was a predator so powerful it treated 30-ton dinosaurs as regular meals. Your puny human muscles and built different attitude wouldn't even register as a snack for it. So that leads me to one question. Do you think you could survive an encounter with any of these dinosaurs? Well, if you do, like this video and subscribe and comment down below exactly how you would do it, then click the video on screen to watch more videos about dinosaurs you definitely wouldn't survive.